There would have been no daguerreotype of Oscar Hopkins on the banks of the Bellinger. I would not have been born. There would be no story to tell. This was not a normal Christmas pudding. It was a very small one, no bigger than a tennis ball. It contained 2 teaspoons of glacé cherries, 3 dessert spoons of raisins, the peel of 1 orange and the juice thereof, half a cup of flour, half a cup of suet, a splash of brandy, and, apart from the size, you wouldn't think it was such an abnormality were it not for the fact that it was cooked in the cottage of my great-great-grandfather, Theophilus Hopkins, in Hennicombe, Devon, England. Theophilus Hopkins was a moderately famous man. You can look him up in the 1860 Britannica. There are 3 full columns about his corals and his corallines, his anemones and starfish. It doesn't have anything very useful about the man. It doesn't tell you what he was like. You can read it 3 times over and never guess that he had any particular attitude to Christmas pudding. He was a dark, wiry widower of 40, hard and bristly on the outside, his beard full, his muscles compacted, and yet he was a soft man, too. You could feel this softness quivering. He was a sensualist who believed passionately that he would go to heaven, that heaven outshone any conceivable earthly joy, that it stretched, a silver sheet, across the infinite spaces of eternity. He steeled himself in the face of his temporal feelings, as a royal guardsman, a carouser and a funny man when at the pub, must remain poker-faced when flies crawl across his eyelids. He was one of the Plymouth Brethren, and he thought, there is nothing mad in this particular bit, that the feasts of the Christian Church were not Christian at all. His problem was his temper, although the word is misleading. His problem was his passion. His body was a poor vessel for containing it, and when it came to Christmas each year, it was all he could do to keep himself in check. For the most part, he used his passion constructively. He was a preacher, and it was his great talent to make his listeners share his feelings. He wouldn't call it Christmas. He would call it Yuletide. He had so convinced his small congregation of farm workers, thatchers, warreners, charcoal burners, fishermen, all those earnest white-laundered folk who, if they could read at all, could only do it slowly, with a finger on each word, so convinced them that Christmas was not only pagan but also popish, that they went out about the fields and lanes on Christmas Day as if it were any other day. Their Baptist neighbours laughed at them. Their Baptist neighbours would burn in hell. Oscar was 14, an age when boys are secretive and sullen. Yet he didn't question his father's views. He knew his own soul was vouchsafed, and when he read the Bible aloud by the fire, he placed no different interpretation upon it than the man who poked the little grate and fussed continually with the arrangement of the coal. They both read the Bible as if it were a report compiled by a conscientious naturalist. If the Bible said a beast had 4 faces, or a man the teeth of a lion, then this is what they believed. But on this particular Christmas Day in 1858, they had a second servant where previously they had 1. The first servant was a large, bustling Mrs. Williams, who brushed her untidy nest of wire-grey hair with a tortoise-shell brush whenever she was agitated. She had been with the family 15 years, 10 years in London and 5 years in Devon. In Hennicombe, she brushed her hair more often. She fought with the butcher and the fishmonger. She swore the salt air was bad for her catarrh, but it was, as she said, too late to be making changes now. She stayed, and although she was not saved, and they sometimes found her hair in their scrambled eggs, she was a part of their lives. The second servant, however, was not only not saved, she could not even be classified as questing.